Welcome back to the Body, Mind, Spirit, and Motion. I'm your host, Jill Hewlett. For any questions or comments, please visit my website at www.jillhewlett.com. In studio this evening, our very special guest is Simone Gabbay. She is a nutritional expert and the author of two very well-respected books, Nourishing the Body Temple and Visionary Medicine. Thank you for joining us, Simone.
I'm really pleased to be here, Jill. Thank you.
Well, it's a delight. We have a lot to cover. What makes you really extra specially unique as a nutritional expert is that you focus on the teachings of Edgar Cayce.
And yes, Edgar Cayce has been someone whose work I've studied for 25 years. He was a mystic who lived in the 20th century, and his work focused on accessing information that's not available to most people in a psychic trance state. And in that state, he was able to diagnose illnesses, he was able to access the Akashic records and help people with numerous problems. So yes, that's what my books are based on.
Well, I understand he's had tremendous results when he was living, and his teachings continue on today. There's an institute in Virginia.
Yes, the ARE, the Association for Research and Enlightenment, and they continue to research and study and make the Cayce readings available and publish books and magazines based on his teachings.
And what they're doing is, are they building upon it? They're investigating what he channeled.
Yes.
And what you say, when you say channeled, you mean that he kind of went into a dreamlike state or a trance-like state, kind of like one would go into in meditation and come up with solutions to people's health problems?
That's true. He went into a self-induced hypnotic state, but his consciousness was completely eliminated at that point. He would not remember when he woke up what he discussed. And he would speak in different languages, and he would speak in medical terminology, of which he had no idea in his waking state, because he had only a grade 8 education. But all the technical terms that came through him while he was in his sleep state, one book written about him is called The Sleeping Prophet.
That's why he has that name.
That's why he has that name. That's
interesting.
Right.
Do you feel that all of us have that ability to go in and kind of transcend knowledge and go to a place of higher wisdom or knowing?
Yes.
Or that was unique to him?
Well, it was unique to him in that he was able to access it so clearly, and very few psychics can actually do that. But certainly we all can, and he told us that we all can, and he gave us techniques, meditation techniques, and study techniques for being able to access this information.
Wonderful. How did you get into it?
Well, I was 19 years old, and I was looking for alternative ways of dealing with my mother's ill health. And I met this lady who had all these remedies that were based on Edgar Cayce, and I found them extremely interesting, and then started reading some of the books. And that's how I became interested in. And
just you stayed with it from that point on?
I stayed with it. I branched off and studied other things, but I always came back to the Cayce material.
Now, you are a registered nutritionist.
Yes.
Where did you do your studies personally?
Well, that was at the Canadian Nutrition Institute, and I'm registered with the International Organization of Nutritional Consultants. But that doesn't distract me from using the Cayce material, because certainly all of the Cayce material is scientifically researched and substantiated by modern science. And in fact, that's what I did in my books. I paralleled modern nutritional information with material that came through in the readings last century, and that really is parallel and been substantiated. So.
And I understand that the Canadian School of Naturopathic Medicine?
Canadian School of Natural Nutrition?
Yes. Oh, that's the same one that you went to?
Oh, I'm sorry. No, you were talking about a different institution. I'm sorry.
Yeah, is it the Naturopathic College uses also the Cayce methods?
They're using some of his methods, for instance, the castor oil packs. They are using them and teaching them in their curriculum, yes.
Interesting.
Yes.
Interesting. Well, so where should we start? Like, I understand a big part of understanding Cayce's nutrition is to differentiate between an acidic and alkaline diet. And the whole pH balance idea. Could you speak to the viewers about that?
Right, yes. This is really the mainstay of the Cayce diet. And you have to keep in mind that when he first provided this information in the early part of the 20th century, the North American diet was mainly based on meats and starches. People would eat huge pieces of steaks and potatoes and rice and very few vegetables. So his teaching was that we need to build our diet on more vegetables and fruits, which is what all nutritionists are telling us today. But he explained that we need to have 80% vegetables and fruits in our diet and much smaller proportions of meats and grains and sweets than we did at that time, and we still do, most of us.
It's like for a lot of people that's a total reversal.
It's a total reversal, yes. So I'm telling people, instead of thinking of vegetables as a side dish on your meat, think of them as your main meal and the meat as a side dish.
Okay, so he's not really then a proponent of vegetarianism necessarily.
Not necessarily, no. There was one woman who was a vegetarian who saw him and consulted him, and she asked him if she should stay with her vegetarian diet, and he said, from a spiritual perspective, that is not a necessity. However, do as your soul desires. So he did enable us to be vegetarians, but he felt it was not a spiritual requirement. Okay. But the proportions of meat are much, much smaller than most people eat, and we don't need to eat meat every day.
And as far as environmental factors and concerns, I understand that getting onto a plant-based diet would make tremendous difference in long-term care of the earth.
Absolutely. It would make a tremendous difference in our health and in the care of the earth, because we would use much fewer resources. Fewer resources are required to grow plant foods than to grow animals and all the waste products of animals. So absolutely, you're quite right there. Yes.
Oh, wow. There's just so many, it's all about win-win, like looking for solutions that benefit us, each other, and the world at large.
Right, a holistic approach.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
And Cayce was really about the body, mind, spirit, which of course I understand, knowing you, you're very much that way. Right. That is the holistic approach that one needs to attain our best health?
That's true. Yes, Cayce really said that all healing comes from within. All healing comes from the one source, which is the spirit source. And whenever there's a problem, an imbalance in the body, you cannot ignore the body, the mind and soul that goes with it, because mind is the builder, spirit is life, mind is the builder, physical is the result. This is what he said.
Yes, and mind is the builder, meaning that our thoughts create our reality, is that?
That's true. One of an often quoted statement of his is, what we think and what we eat combined together make what we are, physically, mentally, and spiritually.
Well, I love what you said there, because I have a friend who believes that obviously eating healthy is very important, but he says just as much as what you eat affects us, it's what we're thinking that eats us.
Exactly.
Has just as equal an effect.
That's a very good way of putting it, absolutely. And Cayce would totally agree with that.
So what are you eating and what's eating you?
That's right. Yes.
So he believes in things like de-stressing and relaxation.
Very much so. Meditation, Cayce said that we all must learn to meditate. All souls must learn to meditate at one point in their journey, in this lifetime and others. Definitely relaxation techniques, restful sleep is all part of a holistic lifestyle, and you can't do without one. You need to always include all of them in your approach.
So just for the viewers' sake here and the people who will be watching the show in the future, can you give some starting points on that? Like, does Cayce recommend? Because I mean, sometimes just slowing down for people in the Western world can really be a stretch. So what would you say to someone who you're going to say meditation will help you and they've never done it before?
Well, the best way is probably to seek out a meditation teacher. But if you can't, the ARE, which is the Cayce Foundation, offers audio tapes and books in helping you how to meditate. Just starting out by sitting down in a relaxed position, holding your back straight, using an affirmation such as God is love, or I'm relaxed, whatever you feel comfortable with, focusing on that and saying that in your mind. And the breathing, which is also very important for your autonomic nervous system to relax.
Just even talking about it relaxes me. Not that I wasn't relaxed already, but you know, there's so many other levels we can go to. Just when we think we're relaxed,
that's true.
There's a whole other place that we can go.
Yes, that's true. Yes, in deep meditation we can access levels that we just never know in waking life.